We've talked a lot about process, and we've talked about the definition of quality, conformance to specifications, but it's also essential for the quality professional to understand the issue of competition. How does your company compete in the world? American Society for Inventory Control defines competition, or the styles of competition, in 8 dimensions, and I'd like to just review those. You'll find them defined differing in various areas, but this seems to fit, and so I'd just like to kind of talk through these 8 ways that we find that firms compete. Before I start, though, keep in mind that a firm must compete on all 8 of these dimensions. We're not saying that you only compete on one. You must compete on all 8 of the dimensions. But a good firm will also identify which one of these dimensions will be their primary focus of competition. And that will direct a lot of how they proceed, the processes, and the types of things they do. So let's just get started. Price. Probably the most difficult primary focus of your competition is price, because what it means is that you must be the low-cost provider. Now think about that, and obviously what comes to mind is the fact that there can only be one low-cost provider. So if you're choosing to compete on price, then you're going to need to develop processes that allow you to deliver your product or your service in a very, very efficient way that will then enable you to underprice all the competition, yet still maintain profit expectations to keep your company or organization going. Quality, we've talked about that, and I don't want to beat it in the ground, but conformance to specifications. Some companies do better at this. I may have a company that's going to look at making a part for me. Let's go back to that, that same old one we've used all along. A shaft that's got a 1/2 inch diameter, 500 thousandths plus or minus 5 thousandths. I may have one company that's able to consistently do that, and their variation may range from 495 to 505, but they are specifically within that tolerance, and they can do that. Maybe looking at another company that says, you know what, we can do that within 3 thousandths of the tolerance, all right? So they're both complying to specifications and tolerance, but in looking at that and saying, yeah, but these guys are tighter, and the tighter they are to the reference in the long run, the better that's going to be for me. So I may opt for them, even though both organizations are able to deliver the specification that I need. Delivery speed. This is a time-based competition issue. How fast do you need it? I need this thing very quickly. Can you get it here overnight? Can you get it here the next day? You have the ability to produce the product and bring the product to you in a very, very timely fashion, and usually that time horizon is very, very short. Delivery reliability. Probably the best example or area to talk about delivery reliability relates to just-in-time. If you're working in a just-in-time environment where I have to have things coming in on the scheduled day that I need them, then I'm looking for a firm that can bring the product to my facility sometimes on the day that I need it, sometimes on the hour that I need it, that they can bring it in on exact the time I need it. So delivery reliability. Obviously these guys can get it to you, but the issue is, do you get it to you? And they may get it to you fast. These guys get it to you at the exact time that you need it, so you're ready for it. So you're not storing it or waiting for it. Flexibility. And this is the firm that prides itself or focuses on its response to market changes. If there's a change in the market in respect to the product, they can adapt to that change and they can modify the product they're making for you very quickly. Or they can easily adapt to volumes, where maybe the volume you need varies quite a bit. So I need somebody who can deliver 20 of these this week, but next week I may need 200 of them. Have they got the ability to adapt, or they're flexible enough that they can respond to that level of variation in terms of volume? Or companies who can readily absorb technical advances and incorporate that into the process that actually improves the product. So somebody who's quick on their feet to move into those new technologies that produce a better product for me. Flexibility. Product design. Product design is fairly basic. It simply means that a company has a superior product compared to the other competitors. They may have an advanced design. They may have an increased range of offerings or options. I'm purchasing, maybe I have a company who's building file cabinets, and I'm looking at buying a file cabinet, and I have a company that makes a nice 3-drawer file cabinet, and I think it's pretty good. I look at another company, and they say, yeah, but you know what? We build our file cabinets in a modular basis, and you can have a 2-door, 3-door, drawer, 4-door. Buy the 3-door drawer, and you decide next week you need the 4-drawer, we simply can add a module to it. So it's the range of offerings, or how they, what they have in terms of product design. Their design allows me to expand that file cabinet to 4 or 5 drawers if I need it, rather than having to buy another 3-drawer unit. Aftermarkets service, basically this cuts right down to customer service, and if you're looking for a really good supplemental class to take in this whole thing, it would be the customer service class out of the business department here at the college. Customer service means, when I have a problem, it's addressed. I know for myself, one of my major axes to grind is when I call and I get into that phone system. We got to waiting through the options. Press 1 for this, wait for that, do this, do that, and how does that make you feel? Customer service is about being able to get what you need efficiently and effectively. Finally, image. And image breaks down into 2 groups, an advertising group and a name group. Advertising. If you have a commodity product where there is really no discernible difference from one to the other in terms of your competitors, probably one of the most classically talked about products within the business realm is sheetrock. You just take a plain old 4x8 sheet of 1/2-inch drywall or sheetrock. Often these companies are referred to as oligopolies, which means they both make exactly the same thing, and there is no discernible difference from one to the other. In other words, each one has the same level of specifications, the same level of components. They're virtually identical. There's no discernible advantage to buying one over the other. What do? You need an advertising campaign that promotes your product, so where from the advertising you see it as being the better, or the product that you want, your perception is. Name comes down to reputation. How do you handle things that happen with your product? Probably an old example, but a good example of reputation goes back to Johnson & Johnson with their Tylenol product back years ago, when some of it was contaminated and we had a scare about it. At that time, we didn't know if it was if the product was becoming contaminated within the factory, or if it was becoming contaminated at the local distributor level or whatever. But what Johnson & Johnson did at that time is they came through and they just simply pulled it all off the market, basically. So they went from about a 50-60% market share to a 0 market share in one afternoon. Just pulled it right off the product. Unfortunately, what we discovered, as I recall the event, later on they found it was simply somebody on the outside who came into that one store and tainted it. So Johnson & Johnson could have very easily brought that product right back onto the market once that was discovered and exposed. But what they did is they didn't bring it back until they developed a tamper-proof cap for the bottle. And all that cuts to reputation, okay? A safe product, or the ability to use it. So those are the 8 primary ways that are often defined as ways to compete. As I said early on, you have to address all 8 of them. You can't ignore any one. But a good company will come through and say, okay, we're going to hit all 8 of these, but I'll tell you what, the one I'm really going to focus on is going to be, let's say flexibility. Go back to my file cabinet design. We have a superior design that allows us to respond to market changes, volume needs, and actually we're probably hitting the 2 of those together. And it's not uncommon to focus on 2, but you really want to try to limit to 1 or 2 primary focuses for your competition. The quality technician needs to fully understand exactly what the primary focus of competition is that the company pursues.